Hello, welcome to the Bookcast Club, a podcast for book lovers. It's me, Jenny, coming from Norwich in the UK today, and I'm joined by a friend of the pod. We keep wanting to call you Dr. Sarah, and I know you don't need to be introduced like that, but Sarah from Your True Shelf off of YouTube has also joined me. The reason we call her Dr. Sarah is because I think we've had about 4 Sarahs on this podcast now, and it's the only way we can decipher you from all the other Sarahs that we have. But Sarah's been on before, twice, last season, I believe, covering the Women's Prize with me, and 5-Star Reads, I think, was the other episode we did. But you are also from Norwich, but here today to discuss memoirs with me. We were just trying to remember which episode it was that we got into some discussion about memoir. We think it must have been that 5-Star Reads episode, but we've both read a lot, so that's what this episode is today, purely focused on memoir. We're going to split it into, I can only think of calling it sensible memoir and celebrity memoirs, because we both quite like a celeb memoir as well, but we've got a few sensible recommendations to start with. You read a lot of memoir. How many have you read in total? You text me telling me how many you'd read.
Yeah, so I went onto my story graph and filtered by memoirs and ever. So it came up with 80, which I was quite shocked that I'd read 80 memoirs. But I do love a memoir. I do. Yeah, me and too. Yours was nearly as many.
Mine, I was thinking I might have read like 30 or something, but mine was like 55. And I think it was missing some, because there's definitely, I mean, we can talk about this, but there's definitely someone there that I would consider memoir, but maybe they've been filed as like autobiography, and now I don't know what the difference is. So do you know the difference between memoir and autobiography?
I've looked up. I think maybe an autobiography is more like a life story starting at the beginning and going up to the end or up to current times, whereas memoir can be focusing on a period of time of someone's life, or thought, or like essays about a period of time, or something less traditional.
Yeah.
Probably in my head, maybe memoir means better written or written by themselves rather than, because a lot of celebrity autobiographies are ghost written, aren't they? Yeah. And not always particularly well. So
no, some of the celeb memoirs I talk about,
we sound more fancy talking about memoirs rather than autobiographies.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do sound. Yeah, less like it's been written for someone and more kind of personal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they can switch and change between the two. I think they're pretty interchangeable.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to do 3 each. Do you want to kick us off? Because I have not heard of any of the 3 that you were going to talk about.
Yeah, so I have obviously loads to choose from, so I thought I'm going to read ones that are hopefully new to people so that they have new ones to pick up. That was my criteria. So the first one I want to talk about is called Bread and Wine, subtitled A Love Letter to Life Around the Table by Shauna Niequist. And this is one that I listened to on Audible, and Shauna Niequist reads it herself, and I think it adds something extra when you get the author reading it themselves. And this is a collection of essays, but very much in the form of memoir. And it's all about how people come together at different times of our lives around a dinner table with different groups of people and share the good and the bad around food with people that we care about. And I am a lover of food writing. I really love when there's good descriptions of food, and there are some really, really good descriptions of cooking and of food in this memoir, and so that definitely attracted me to it. But also it was very comforting, I would say, because even though she's talking sometimes about difficult topics, like I would say be careful reading this if infertility or miscarriage is triggering for you, she talks about all of the things, how coming around a table with people is a big sort of healing experience, I guess, and how you can have laughs around the table, you can share difficult times together, but the food is what brings you together. So that's kind of the concept of it.
So Alice, who used to be a host on this podcast, and a previous Sarah, this is why we get so confused, loved like foodie memoirs. So we've definitely talked about kind of like food-based memoirs before. Yeah, I really like food writing. One of my celeb memoirs is a foodie based one. So yeah, it's a genre that I really like. Not one that Australian Sarah likes. She hates a foodie memoir, which is really funny. I find them really like evocative and comforting, I think.
I don't know if you do as well, but in fiction books I love scenes set in kitchens. And I know this is something that Sarah hates. I love a recipe, like in a book. So this has recipes as well.
Yeah, I love it.
I haven't used any of the recipes because they're not vegan friendly, but definitely people could use the recipes if they're not vegan. Yeah, there was a little bit I took out of the intro because I reread the Kindle sample of this yesterday just so I could kind of get a flavour of the writing again. And she said, when you put this book down, I pray that you'll gather the people you love around your table to eat and drink, to tell stories, to be heard and fed and nourished on every level. And I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I think that's one I'd enjoy. So because I knew we were gonna record this episode, I was like, I really need to, this is why I keep calling them sensible memoirs. I was like, I really need to listen to some sensible ones so that I don't just talk about Britney Spears and Jessica Simpson. So I actually listened to 2 recently, and luckily they were both really, really good. So I'm gonna share both of those. I had a long car journey to do, so I listened to one way, one on the way back. But the first one is Strong Female Character by Fern, Brady. Now, this is one that I feel like everybody's been reading, but I don't know if that's just because I spend a lot of time on BookTube, but it was a bit of a BookTube darling, and a lot of people on BookTube were reading it and saying how great it was. So Fern Brady is a comedian in the UK. Now, I have to say that I had never heard of her, I don't think. I don't know, it's probably something that other countries do as well, but in the UK, like, we love like a panel show, like a comedian panel show. We do. I probably have seen her on something at some point. She's Scottish, possibly Glaswegian, and like has a very strong accent. So I feel like if I'd seen her on TV, I would have known. But her memoir is about her life growing up with autism and undiagnosed autism for probably, like, I think she says like 20 years of not being diagnosed, and eventually when she gets a diagnosis, she's diagnosed with Asperger's, which isn't a terminology that's now used, I don't think, because of its origins in Nazi Germany. But a lot of people still use it as like an identifier, so she uses it in the book. It's an amazing memoir. It absolutely blew me away, and I don't know whether that's because I just haven't had to think about the struggles that someone with autism may have, like growing up, and how much it affected her life, and how much danger actually she ended up getting herself into because she had undiagnosed autism. Again, I'd say the trigger warnings are probably fairly heavy on this one. You're dealing with self-harm and suicide attempts. She finds herself homeless at one point because her parents don't know how to deal with her. So yeah, she deals with these autistic meltdowns where she literally destroys stuff. So she'll destroy furniture, literally throw things around the room. And her parents, obviously, growing up, didn't know how to deal with this, and they didn't deal with it in the right way. They were a Catholic family, and they really didn't know how to handle her. So she ends up homeless at different points in the book. She ends up in quite difficult and dangerous sexual situations. So at one point, she's quite young and has essentially been kind of groomed by this couple to use her for sex, and she ends up in those kind of situations as well. She worked as a stripper, which was really interesting because she said that a lot of autistic women end up working as strippers because it's a role that they play, so the boundaries of it are very set.
Right, that's interesting.
And the interactions that they have are actually very kind of scripted and set, and they know they're protected. So yeah, it's really interesting. She's had a really difficult and challenging life, and it's a hard listen, but at the same time she's very, very funny, so the delivery of it, because she's a comedian, is obviously very funny. But yeah, I really loved it, and I'd like to, I feel like she's got like shows on, maybe not Netflix, but she's got shows that you can watch and get hold of, so I'd like to see more of her stuff. But even the stuff that, not that you can relate to because we're not comedians, but maybe understand a bit more. So she talks about getting on these panel shows and how she wasn't picked for stuff because she didn't interact with people the way that she was expected to, and she didn't understand, and like those social cues, and she'd respond in ways that they weren't expecting, which I think they all struggled with. So she'd find that she wasn't invited onto various panel shows as a comedian. So yeah, it's really, really good and sad, funny, uplifting, and just really eye-opening. Just before we started recording, I went and had a quick look at some reviews, and it's interesting that the negative reviews, and this is probably easy for me to say as somebody who isn't autistic, the negative reviews are coming from like fellow autistic women who feel like they are not being represented in this book, which for me, I'm like, well, it's her memoir, so I understand that. But I think a lot of the reviews I've read, they want to make it clear that actually the autistic experience is very different for lots of different people. So yeah, I found the whole experience interesting. Even reading the reviews from people is very eye-opening. So yeah, it's a really, really great one. And as somebody who struggles with some of the heavier stuff in memoir for some reason because of her delivery, it was just a bit easier to read. And I listened to it actually, so she narrates it obviously how she intended it to be read, which is always quite nice.
I do like when there's a serious topic and sometimes humour is used in a sensitive way to, if it's something that's quite heavy or difficult to read, to sort of lighten the mood a little bit as well. I think if you read non-fictions by a comedian or with someone with a good sense of humour, it's nice to have that mixed in with a serious topic sometimes, because like you said, it can be quite heavy if there's lots of triggers and stuff in there. And it is heavy. Her life is pretty traumatic, so it sounds
go into that. Warned, I guess.
Well, it sounds good. I like it when it's an experience that you haven't ever had before, but it can change your knowledge base of that experience, and then maybe you'll handle a situation better if you come across a situation. Maybe you can be more sensitively dealing with it, or you can just broaden your understanding of something. I think that's really good, and that's a really good way for books to all make us more empathetic and understanding of different types of people that we meet.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so number 2, I saw this book on BookTube. Somebody absolutely loved it, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It'll probably come to me. Oh, I know who it was. It was my friend Charlotte on BookTube. She recommended this book called Waterfalls of Stars by Rosanne Alexander, and this is a nature memoir. So this is about a place called Skoma Island. I don't know if you've heard of it because you grew up in Wales, didn't you? But it's off off the coast of Wales, and it's an uninhabited island, and there was an advertisement for a person to be the warden of Skoma Island, and you had to sign up to do it for 10 years. So it was a big commitment. You had to live on the island. And at the time, Roseanne's boyfriend wanted to apply for this job, and it would have meant that if she wanted to go with him, they had to get married, because they wouldn't have couples there unless they were married. I don't know if that's part of the commitment or what, but so they had to decide. I think probably maybe the late 90s, something like that. So not that long ago.
No.
And so they quickly got married, and then they had a short period of time where they had to pack up their lives in waterproof boxes and decide what they were going to need on an island with nothing. And they went to live in the warden's cottage there, And it's basically about their time there. It's not hugely about what it's like to just live with one person for 10 years and not have any contact with other people. That's not really the focus of it. It's all about the island, the nature, and what they do sort of day to day in terms of the recording things they have to do. They have to deal with some natural disasters. For instance, there's an oil spill when they're there, and they have to document how that affects the wildlife. That's quite heartbreaking.
The
and also
Sea
be
Empress.
involved in the cleanup. Was that the name of the ship that
We used to have to learn about it in school.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the Sea Empress.
And it's just about life in the elements. It talks about all the different birds and things and the weather, and sometimes they have people come and drop off supplies to them, or very occasionally they'll make a boat trip which is hours long to get to the mainland to get supplies, which has to then last them for weeks or months before they'll get any more. But it's really, really beautifully written, and it's probably the best nature memoir I've ever read, I think. It's really, really good. It sounds, I don't want it to sound boring when I describe it, but it's really fascinating, and I think it's published by a small press, so I don't think it's a book that you'd see lying around. I think you'd probably have to order it if you wanted to buy it, but it's very, very worth it. It's only available in hardback, but I don't own a copy. I think I ordered it from the library, and it's one of those books where I really want to own a copy so that I can have it, so I can look at it when I want to. So
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I think if you like something like New Lives in the Wild or something where you kind of have visions of yourself going off and living off grid, or you're interested in watching other people do it, then I think you'd really enjoy reading about their experience.
Oh yeah, it is a small publisher. Seren Books is
Seren Books, that's the one.
The publisher. Is there a Welsh publisher?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I love the idea of like off-grid memoirs.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I've read, and I have read a few, have always annoyed me because they tend to be rich, white, middle-class people who are like, oh, I'm just going to throw in my job as a high-paid lawyer and just go, you know, annoy Scottish people and live on their islands and not blend in with the locals well. This sounds different, though.
This is different. It's a real passion project and a real commitment, because 10 years, it's not like you can go and then fall back on all your savings. Like they really don't have any money, or they have to make everything last. They have to take care of everything, because if it breaks, they can't just fix it or just order another one or anything. They really have to make do with the little that they have when they're there, and they're very conscious of not leaving a footprint on the island, making it about observing what happens without humans rather than humans impacting on the landscape that's there. So it's very protected. They do occasionally get somebody who comes to do a research project there or something and might stay for a few weeks, but otherwise they're just there with the two of them. So I'd love to go and visit Scone Island. Have you been there?
No, I haven't. I think you can definitely do trips to Scone Island.
Yeah, you can go for a day trip to places. I'm not sure if you can go on the island or if you kind of have to
on a boat
observe the island.
Outside,
but
maybe.
Yeah,
I'd love to go because I've never seen a puffin, and considering I live so close to them. I would love to. Yeah, that sounds really good. I would like to read that one. Okay, so my second one, the other one I listened to recently in the car, is The Unfamiliar by Kirsty Logan. So I hadn't realised that Kirsty Logan had brought out a memoir until I put a little shout out on my Instagram saying that I was doing a long drive and could people recommend memoirs, and somebody said, oh, you really like Kirsty Logan, which I do, and she's got this memoir out. So Kirsty Logan recently had a baby, which I knew because I follow her on social media, but she is in a queer relationship, like she's married to a woman, and this is the memoir of them having a child together, basically. And I hadn't realised that obviously it was a long process before Kirsty became pregnant. Her wife had actually been the one that they intended on carrying the baby to start with, and so this memoir follows their struggles to conceive. So they have a sperm donor. I hadn't realised, and I don't know, as somebody in the medical profession, you might be able to tell me whether this is how it happens, but they essentially find their sperm donor on almost like a dating style website.
Yeah.
And so he just like rocks up every month and does what he needs to do, and they do what they need to do with his fresh sperm. And yeah, I didn't realise that that's how it worked. I thought it would all be more kind of organised and official than that.
So did they do it themselves rather than go through a fertility clinic then?
So I think initially that was the plan, that they would do it themselves, and that's how they got this chap to come and be of service. And but you know, he comes every, oh gosh, that was terrible phrasing. So he pays them a visit every month, and as time goes on, it's just not happening for them. And Kirsty's wife does become pregnant at points and then miscarries. So they do have this kind of, you know, they have the difficulties of being in a same-sex relationship anyway and trying to have a baby, but then they also face, you know, an infertility journey as well. It's amazing because I only listened to it like last week, but I can't quite remember. They definitely reach the point where IVF is happening, and I feel like they, at that point, have changed sperm donor. I think it becomes a family friend at that point when they're on the actual like IVF journey. But her wife has a few miscarriages and decides that she doesn't want to do that anymore. So that's when Kirsty is the one that carries the baby.
Oh wow,
and so,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so she gets pregnant, and you know, you follow her journey through pregnancy as well. But she also, and again, this book comes fairly heavy on the trigger warnings, she also has a very traumatic birth, which she does talk about in a lot of detail. So, you know, the whole memoir is essentially her pregnancy, her wife's previous pregnancies, the labour, and the months afterwards when they've got a newborn baby. And it's really, really good. She's a really good writer. I really love her short stories and non-fiction. She's just a great writer in general. I've been to some of her workshops as well, so she's just a really lovely person, and she narrates the book, so it was quite nice having sat in writing workshops with her to then hear her narrate her story. That was really nice as well. But yeah, I learned a lot.
That's so interesting to me as well, how she became the person who got pregnant rather than her wife, because obviously I'd imagine they'd discussed that quite a lot already, and then her wife had to kind of give up that. I don't know if it was her sort of dream of becoming pregnant or her wish to become pregnant. She had to give that up and then watch her partner become pregnant. I wonder, did they talk about how difficult that felt, or how it didn't, or how she felt ready to pass that on? Or I don't know, that must have been a big thing to deal with emotionally.
I think she felt ready to pass it on at that point. I think she'd been through a lot trying to get pregnant and getting pregnant and it not working out, and you know, going to early scans where they were told, you know, I can relate to quite a lot of it. I lost my first pregnancy, ended with a miscarriage, and it was one that I found out at 12 weeks. So I went for my scan, and that's when I found out. Horrible. So like, she deals with that as well, like earlier in her pregnancy, but still finding out at a scan and that's where you've you know, that the baby's not alive anymore. So yeah, I could relate to a lot of it. And then also, again, I learnt a lot too. But she, you know, it is pretty heavy going. I'd say if you're expecting, it's not the one for you, because she does describe the birth in quite a lot of detail. And yeah, as somebody who technically on paper went through a fairly traumatic birth, it was nothing compared to what she went through. So yeah, go into it with care if you are on that journey to having children. Yeah, maybe wait until you've had them, perhaps. I
was teaching medical students today, and it was birth week, so we spent all day talking about birth today and bringing in people to tell their birth stories. So that's quite fitting.
Yeah.
That's quite a fitting book for the theme of the day for me at work today.
Yeah, it's a really good one, and like, after they've had the baby as well, because the sperm donor is a family friend. Like, they go out together with the sperm donor, and people say to him, congratulations. He's like, oh, actually, well, I am technically the dad, but I'm not. So yeah, it's a really interesting memoir, and she talks a lot about, you know, because biologically the baby is not her wife's, so she talks a lot about that as well, that it's a lot of hurdles they had to you know, overcome and work their way through, and a lot about family members as well, kind of having to work through that. So yeah, it's very good. It's short. That one I did manage to listen to in like one kind of 5-hour drive. So yeah, it's a good one. I enjoyed it a lot.
Sounds really good. And both Scottish. You chose 2 Scottish ones so far.
Yeah.
You probably have to edit this bit out, but it's my... Do you want me to feed my cat again? Because she'll stop me.
Is that what... Yeah, go ahead if you want. Yeah, I can hear her.
She lost her meow for a year, and she just had an operation on her throat, and now she's got her meow back. We couldn't believe it when she got home, and now she's just telling everyone she won't stop talking. So if I go and feed her quickly, she'll stop, because otherwise she's going to keep going. So bear with 1 second. So this is one that I had to just revisit, not too much actually, but I read it in the late 90s and I haven't reread it.
Wow.
So I was saying at the beginning how I had to exclude lots of books because I'd read them a while ago and I couldn't remember necessarily the ins and outs of them. But this one was probably the first memoir I ever read. And I think I probably saw it on TV or something like that. And because obviously you couldn't use the internet then to look up books. And I ordered it in from the library, and it's called Do They Hear You When You Cry by Fauziya Kassindja. And this is going to sound very sad when I say this, but it's basically a memoir about a woman's struggle against female genital mutilation. Fauziya is a young girl in Togo in Africa, and it's very much a tradition there for lots of families to inflict female genital mutilation on their young women, and her father is actually very much against the practice, and he protects his girls from the culture of having that done. And then her father dies, and her father's brother is given or takes custody of her. She's the youngest child, and her aunt basically tells her mum that she can't live in the family home anymore, and that her aunt and uncle are in charge now, and they basically sell her to a man who's 30 years older than her as his 4th wife, and he says that he wants her to be clean for him, and so says she has to have this FGM done. And literally very, very short time before it's going to happen, she manages to run away, and her sister helps her escape, and she has to leave the country because if she doesn't, then she'll be found and brought back. And she manages to escape to America. But then when she gets to America, she's honest about why she's there, and they put her into a maximum security prison with convicted felons, even though she's a teenager. Wow. And she has to spend 2 years in prison. And a law student called Leymah takes an interest in her case and decides that she wants to try and help her. And so the whole book is about her legal case to secure asylum against gender-based violence in her country. As a result of it, they actually set up a justice centre. It's called the Tahiri Justice Centre, which was set up in 1997 to provide legal and social services for women and girls who are escaping gender-based violence and coming for asylum. So it's her story, and I can still remember most of the details. I had to look up a couple of things last night, but I can still remember most of the details, even though I read it about 25 years ago. So yeah, it's still available. I did check in case anyone wanted to read it. So obviously we've talked a lot about triggers already, but obviously there's the trigger of FGM. But I also think it's something that's really, really important to know about, and something that we have to do training for every year as well, in case we come across anybody who's at risk of being taken out of the country for it to happen, or he's had it happen, and there's a big impact on women's health. So it kind of raises a lot of awareness, I think, but it's also a story of sort of hope and resilience and strength and things against this horrible practice. So that was my third one.
Yeah,
which
that
I think
sounds
is a really
good.
important book.
Does she still live in America?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow, we've got the really hard hitting stuff here.
Yeah, we should have finished. I should have finished with bread and wine, shouldn't I? So I could have finished on the cozy one.
It's all right. We've got celeb memoirs coming up. We'll be fine. My final one, again on a slightly serious topic. Why Did You Stay by Rebecca Humphries. So have you...
Oh, I've got this on my TBR. It's upstairs. Someone lent it to me at work and I haven't read it yet.
So just to give a bit of background context for anyone who's not in the UK, you might think that this is kind of irrelevant to you. But just to say from the get-go, you do not need to have seen Strictly Come Dancing in order to read this memoir. And I'll explain why in a minute. But Rebecca Humphries, basically, she was dating, again, a comedian in the UK who was on Strictly Come Dancing. I think he was on the 2018 season. So the equivalent in the US is Dancing with the Stars. So it's like that weekly kind of dancing competition. He was photographed by paparazzi snogging his female professional dance partner, who was married at the time as well, and it ended up in the Sun. Now, Rebecca had been photographed or filmed, literally like the night before on TV at Strictly, crying at his dance performance. So she was like, there as his supportive girlfriend, and literally the next day the papers broke the story that he'd been like carrying on with his dance partner, shall we say. They all put out various statements, like the professional dancer did, he did. They have this program called It Takes Two, which I don't know if Dancing with the Stars does the same sort of thing, but while Strictly's on, they have this like nightly program where they talk about, I don't know, how training's going and that kind of thing. And I remember them both being on there doing this quite, painful apology, the two of them, which had obviously been forced to do. Like, it was so, not cringy, because it wasn't like, ooh, how cringe. It was like, how awful for everybody involved. Like, they clearly, I remember the professional dancer looking really quite traumatized, and they'd clearly been made to apologize on live TV. So it was all awful at the time, to be honest.
Because she was married to one of the other professional dancers.
She was married to one of the other dancers, so it was this huge, you can imagine how huge a scandal it was in the UK. And Rebecca Humphries was his girlfriend, and I guess she kind of, she is an actress, but not a famous actress in the UK, so I guess she kind of disappeared. And 3 years later, she brought out this memoir. But at the time, everybody was using Twitter, so everyone had put out their like statements on Twitter, and she put out her statement, which was really like powerful, impactful, and alluded to the fact that he was kind of like a gaslighting idiot. And somebody had replied, more than just one person, I suspect, but somebody had replied, and this is the one that she'd fixated on, saying, if he was so bad, why did you stay? And that's what her whole memoir is about, like why she stayed with him. And it's not a particularly, can't remember if there's any physical abuse, but it's a very like manipulative, controlling relationship. He isolates her from her friends. Romantically, he's like a good partner. So there's a real difference between like romance and actually like loving and caring for someone. And I think if you've ever questioned why somebody might stay in an abusive relationship, I think this book is really, really good and will open your eyes as to why just the like subtle little things that happen means that she just didn't or couldn't leave him, or took him back after they'd had big fallings out. And it went on for years, and that moment on Strictly was the final straw. took a big moment for her to walk away from him. And yeah, the book is really, really good. If you've ever thought, how did somebody stay in with that idiot, even though on the outside even she could see that he was not good for her. So yeah, it's a really, really good one.
It's probably really helpful for people to read who are in relationships that they're questioning, or even that they're not questioning, but maybe other people have questioned it with them, and maybe it will make them be like, oh, because there's lots of people, sometimes in my consultations, there'll be people who'll tell me things and I'll be like, that's emotional abuse, right? And they're like, is it? And they haven't really twigged sometimes that everybody's partner doesn't do that, and that's those kind of things aren't normal behaviour. And I think that if somebody's in that position, something like this might be really helpful for them to figure it out and to be like, oh, maybe this isn't normal, and maybe I don't have to be in this relationship, maybe I shouldn't be in this relationship. And I think that's quite powerful in itself.
Yeah, it's really good. And obviously once she's out of the relationship, like it's a really nice memoir about friendships as well. So yeah, I think it's really great. You don't need to know who she is. You don't need to watch Strictly. Like, it's fine.
Doesn't she come from Norwich as well?
Yes, I was going to say she comes from Norwich. From Sprowston. She does slag Sprowston off. I remember this upset Mercedes quite a lot.
I remember it upset Mercedes. That's what made me remember that she was from Norwich. I can still picture Mercedes being indignant about the worst thing could happen was that she had to come back to Norwich.
Yeah. She had to come back to Norwich, and that Sprowston was a shithole. I was like, I live in Sprowston. Okay. Yeah, so if you ignore all that, if you're not local, you're fine. You had a long list of books, didn't you? So have you got...
I'm not going to do honourable mentions of all of them, don't worry.
Yeah.
That could take us some time.
Have you got some that you would like to give a quick shout out to?
I would like to give a shout out to Mighty Be Our Powers by Leymah Gbowee, which is a memoir about a woman, Leymah Gbowee, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for her work in conflict resolution in Liberia, in the Liberian Civil War. That's another story of an amazing woman doing amazing things. That can be one of them. Let me just pick one more, which is difficult because I have a long list. Let's go for something less traumatic. So... I would say, if we're going to pick a happier one, I would recommend Under the Tuscan Sun by Frances Mays. So this is a very non-traumatic book about an American woman who decides to buy a crumbling down villa in Tuscany, and she decides to restore it herself with the help of some local tradespeople. And it's about her time living in Tuscany, eating Tuscan food. So there's a lot of food in here, there's recipes in here as well. And about the Italian lifestyle, and about just walking down to a market early in the morning, buying the food that you need that day, cooking amazing tasting local food simply, and having siestas in the afternoon after you've eaten it, and waiting till the day's cooled down, and then enjoying the evening with some wine and some more nice food and those kind of things. But I wouldn't say it's a memoir that falls under the category that you said, the first one about the wealthy people women who go, yeah, I mean, I guess you do have to obviously have the privilege to be able to do those things, but it doesn't come across, from what I remember, because I read it probably about 10 years ago, it doesn't make me sort of think, well, it's all right for you when I'm reading it.
Might just because I'm bitter. But yeah, I think that's a film that I've seen.
It was a film of it as well now, yes, yeah.
I quite enjoyed the film, yeah. I also won't mention too many, even though I had a very long list. So, serious one, Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. Bryan Stevenson is a lawyer who would help men get off death row, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, they're very good.
That's also a film now as well, isn't it?
Yes. Have I seen that? I think I have seen it.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, I have seen it. It's quite, like, scene for scene, what the book is about. So, yes, very good. What shall I go? A little bit sad. Okay, this is a book I used to hand to people. I always used to give people this book. And it's called This I Know, Notes on Unravelling the Heart by Susannah Conway. So Susannah Conway lost her husband quite young. He died of a sudden heart attack. And this is her memoir / I guess creative diary or creative book. So it's got loads of like tasks that you can do, like creative tasks you can do. She took loads of Polaroid photos, so the book's full of like her Polaroid photographs, and I just loved it. It's a beautiful book, and the tasks that you can work through are just really lovely, reflective exercises. So I'm going to go with that one. Also sad, but a lovely book. This is where we take a little break to tell you about all the different ways you can support the pod, most of which are totally free. We'll start with our Patreon. We've changed things up a little, making all our bonus content open to everyone, no matter what tier you're on. A more pay what you can kind of thing. Tiers start at just £2 a month, and joining our Patreon will give you access to all our chat on recent and current reads, DNFs, book prizes, what we're watching, and lots more. You could try our Patreon for free today. We highly encourage a binge listen to our back catalogue of bonus episodes and take no offence if you choose to cancel afterwards. If you love receiving book mail and personalised recommendations, our top tier is still available. We get you to fill in a survey and then we tailor our book recommendations to your preferences. Find all the details in our show notes. Now for the free ways to support us that make a huge difference. A really effective and easy way of showing your support is by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. There is a link in the show notes that will take you straight to the Apple Podcast page where you can write a review. If you listen on Spotify, you can very easily give us a star rating. You can also share our posts on social media. We're at Bookcast Club on Instagram and TikTok. You can sign up to our newsletter on Substack where we share even more book recommendations, our pick of the new releases and all the latest podcast news. But the best way for us to find new listeners is by you telling your book-loving friends and family about us. However you choose to show your support, we, as always, want to say a huge thank you. We appreciate each and every one of our listeners. Shall we move on to celebrity memoirs?
Sure. Let's lighten the mood.
Let's lighten the mood. So, Sarah and I are both big fans of a celebrity memoir. I don't think we're going to go into loads of detail, but I've definitely got a few that I can recommend. I am also, because Sarah recommended it when we talked about memoirs previously, reading Open Book by Jessica Simpson right now. I thought I might have finished it, but I have to say, God bless Kobo. I tried to use Kobo instead of Amazon, but their player is not good, and it would like jump chapters. So one minute she was like meeting Nick Lachey, and the next thing she was divorcing Nick Lachey. I was like, oh, okay, we're just going to skim over that whole section of your life. Great. And then I'd look at where I was in the book, and I'd been near the end, and I'm like, I'm so confused. So yeah, as much as I'm like, I do love Kobo, their app is not good. So yeah, I'm not as far. I've pretty much had to start again, so I actually get the story in order. But yeah, I am
so
enjoying
listening?
It. Yeah,
listening to the
it.
audiobook. Yeah, and it's the one that she reads herself.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, she does a great job at reading it as well, I think.
Yeah, she's good.
And you get bonus songs at the end.
Oh wow! Okay, I've not got that far yet.
There's like 4 songs at the end or something. Yeah.
God, I love her. She's
we have to own up that we're both massive Jessica Simpson fans. Yeah, we loved watching Newlyweds.
I bloody love Newlyweds. I've still got the DVDs downstairs. Yes, so I don't think you need to be a Newlyweds fan to watch this, listen to this. You probably maybe need to be a Jessica Simpson fan, but yeah, she's a really interesting character, and I hadn't realised that she had real problems with alcohol, so that was quite eye-opening to me, that, you know, she really was an alcoholic, really. So yeah, it's not all fun and games, but
it is funny as well. There are definitely bits where she definitely pokes fun at herself, even though there are serious things that she talks about. Definitely, I think it's done really well.
I think it's because she's so lovely. Like in Newlyweds, she was lovely. I just wanted to be her friend, and I still feel like that listening to this. So, yeah, she's a good sport. but she's very, open book. Yeah, she's very open in
she
it.
really is. She doesn't shy away from talking about anything, does she?
No. So yeah, it's good so far. I'm very much enjoying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you got some that you would like to mention as being ones that you've enjoyed?
Well, the only other one that I wanted to talk about, because I really loved it, and I think I may have mentioned it last time, is Alicia Keys' More Myself.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say, I mean, obviously I'm aware of Alicia Keys. I have listened to her music before. I wouldn't say I'm an Alicia Keys super fan. Like, I'm a bit of a Jessica Simpson super fan. And I just think I probably found it in a sort of 2-for-1 Audible sale or something like that. And I thought, I'll listen to the sample, and I was just sucked in. And it was brilliant. It's so good. And I have, big respect for Alicia Keys. It's written really well. It starts off in quite a dramatic place where she's having a breakdown because her schedule is absolutely mental, and she gets like 2 hours sleep now and again, and she's just like, I can't do this anymore. And it kind of starts there, and then it sort of goes back to her childhood with a single mum living in poverty, and how music was always her sort of big love, and how she started learning to play the piano, and how she's grown as a person, what it's like for her having like a blended family, because she has stepchildren as well as children with her husband. It talks a lot about their relationship, and it's just really, really gorgeous and deep, I would say. I wouldn't call it trashy, definitely, but it's a really, really lovely memoir. So an empowering story, I would say.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it. It's funny, isn't it, how people you wouldn't think to read about, sometimes you just happen to pick up their memoirs. And
I think everyone's story is interesting. I think that's the thing. I think that's probably why I do my job as well, because I get to hear people's stories all day, and I find them all interesting. And so I just think
people interesting.
Yeah, people are just interesting, whether they're famous or not famous. I'd read a memoir from someone who wasn't famous, because it would just be interesting still.
Yeah, maybe we're just interested in people. That's why we like all these memoirs and celeb memoirs. I've got a few that I won't go into detail, but I'll list them out as memoirs that I really enjoyed. I've definitely spoken about quite a lot of them on this pod before. So Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me, I thought was really good.
Really want to read that.
That is ghostwritten, but I think she had a lot of, I don't know actually, did she? Who knows? I think she had a lot of input into it from what I've read. It was a lot of actually just sitting down with somebody and telling your life story, and then they write it, which is maybe slightly different to how we might think ghostwriting happens. Paris by Paris Hilton is really good. She has had a very interesting life, so if you think that she's just a dumb blonde, I very much recommend that you read her memoir.
I think she's been made to be the archetype of the dumb blonde, and she's not.
She knew what she was doing.
How she's sold herself, or how she's been told to sell herself.
Lauren Graham's Talking as Fast as I Can, I love. So that is the lady who plays Lorelai Gilmore in Gilmore Girls.
Oh, amazing. Yes.
It's really good.
You talked about that one really recently, didn't you?
In the Cozy Reads episodes. That's a really good one. This Much Is True by Miriam Margolyes. If you like Miriam Margolyes and think she's funny, which I do.
I've had lots of people say that's a really good memoir as well.
Yeah, that one's quite shocking as well. She's done some quite shocking things in her life, but she's very funny. This is my foodie memoir. So Taste by Stanley Tucci is
I really want to read that. That's on my wish list.
That's a great one.
I listened to the sample of that one and thought,
that
sounds really good. And he reads it as well. The
audio book. Yeah, the only one that doesn't narrate their own.
Britney
Spears doesn't. So Michelle Williams narrates that one. I've got Me, which is Elton John's memoir. That's really good too.
Oh, okay.
That is not narrated by Elton John. That is narrated by, is his name Tarragon something or other? The actor who played him in the film. There you go. That's who narrates that one. So that's a really good one too. And then one that I found surprising, and I must have just seen it doing the rounds, probably on BookTube, is Lady in Waiting by Anne Glenconner. So she was...
I've not heard of that one.
Yes, she was Princess Margaret's Lady in Waiting. So if you want a little, behind the scenes look of the Queen's childhood and upbringing and how that affected Margaret as her sister. It's really good. I feel like she narrates that too, and that totally surprised me, and I only read it because I saw people saying how good it was on BookTube, so that's definitely worth a read.
Okay.
So I think that was my list of celebrity memoirs. I've read more, but I will spare
Have you read
you.
Matthew Perry's? Because that's one that I'd
No,
like to
I would
get
like
to.
to. I would like
Yeah.
to. I'm a bit of a sentimental being, and I think I'd find it quite sad.
I know. I've got Sally Field's one on my audios that I've bought but I haven't listened to yet. So I think that would be good. And I've got, have you heard of Jewel? She's like a sort of country acoustic type singer.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I've got hers upstairs, which I think that would be really good. But I haven't read that one yet. So I've got some upcoming.
Yeah, we're going to have to regroup and
we could do a part 2, 3 and 4, I reckon, with all the list that we've got.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for coming on again and
you're very welcome.
Talking memoirs with me. Where can people find you online?
So I am Your True Shelf on YouTube, where I've got a BookTube channel, and I don't even know what my Instagram. Let me just check, and you can edit this out. Hold on. I'm also Your Tree Shelf, all one word, on Instagram.
Cool. Go find Sarah. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, there's loads of ways you can get in touch with us with your questions, ideas, feedback and recommendations. You can email us on the bookcastclub@outlook.com, or you can get in touch on Instagram where we're at Bookcast Club. You can sign up to our newsletter on Substack for more reviews, new releases, podcast recommendations and updates on the pod. You can trial our Patreon free for 7 days and get access to all our bonus episodes. And yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll be back very soon.